excuse my suspicion, but when coaches are delayed, I always wonder if they've had something delay them, like something happened on the track that...
No, we just come out of a team meeting, that was all.
Have you had much to rethink this week in terms of what you do at selection?
Oh, we've got a few decisions to make at selection. Thankfully unfortunately we lose Kyle, but Charlie Cameron's come up really well, so he's available and ready to go.
Can you tell us where Tom Hatch is at, just for understanding how he's recovering?
Yeah, he's progressing. At this point he's progressing well. How quickly we can get him up and going, because he obviously hasn't done anything now for nearly a week and a half. So. He did some walking the other day, and he'll start to, I think, run maybe over the weekend, depending how he's feeling. So they're just monitoring, because it's one of those things, we can't push him too hard, but Tom being Tom also, he's keen to get going as well. So he's going well.
What's he lost? Just get an idea of what he's going to do physically. What's he lost in weight?
I don't think he's lost too much. I think he was early days, but most of that, I think, was probably 1 or 2 kilos. I don't think it was anything significant. So. As I said, we're really hopeful of getting him going either over the weekend or early next week.
John, if Charlie's ready to come back and Kyle's obviously on his way out, do you have to reshuffle backlines, or do you think about making another change? Obviously, Andy offers a fair replacement if you want another tall back.
Yeah, we've got a few options down there, and we've obviously got some guys in the sample who've played some good footy as well. So there's a few options there. Andy's previously played back and then played forward. He gives us some flexibility in that space, so wait and see.
There's a bit of chat about Tom Dodo. Is he ready to play AFL?
He's getting really close, Tom. He's played some good footy at Samford level, and he's continuing to build. So he's getting really close.
Does the selected team train this morning?
The squad trains, yeah.
So how big is your squad for?
Well, we'll name 25.
Right.
In terms of Tom Lynch being absent, you talk often about players just play roles, but is that such a role that he's defined as his own and plays so well by his own that you just can't replace him, so you have to rethink how you set up your attack?
No, the role's the role. I mean, Tom plays it very well, and you're right, he has added components to that role which make him a good player in that role. But we've got other guys who've come in and done that. Obviously, Mitch McGovern's back. John O'Beach has played a similar role for us. So, we haven't sort of gone away from that. It's just, obviously, it's a bit like if we lost any other player, you're asking someone else to come and play that role with different capabilities and different experiences as Tom.
With Heidegger having scans earlier this week, obviously it showed a bit of damage. What type of damage, what type of injury is it?
Oh, it's a hamstring injury, which there's sort of, again, these are moving feasts. So the scan results sort of say one thing, and then doctors view it, and then he started his rehab now. So we're really hopeful it's going to be on the lower end of that 4 to 6 weeks.
So is there tendon damage similar to what Mitch McGovern had?
Nah, it's not to that degree, as far as I understand. I haven't got complete. When they start talking about hamstrings and muscles and all those bits and pieces, my eyes glaze over a little bit. But from what I can gather, it's 4 to 6. Kyle's really obviously pushing hard to make it closer to 4, and we'll just monitor how he comes up. I mean, it's from now you're treating not treating the scan now. You're treating the injury and the symptoms.
On what changes tomorrow night if it's as wet as it suggested it might be? What changes from the football point?
Oh well, we've considered that in terms of from a selection viewpoint, and probably from a game style. And we had it a bit against Fremantle about a month or so ago, where it was pretty heavy rain that night. Even though someone told me in the forecast it wasn't going to rain, proved to be wrong. It's about just adapt to the conditions. I mean, we're going to expect a game against the Bulldogs, who are high quality opposition and really pride themselves on their pressure around the ball. So we know that's going to be on to start with, wet or dry. And if it's wet, it's just going to mean that it'll be more of a field position game where it's important you take ground when you get the opportunity.
Well, it's no surprise that when you set such a strong form line in the first 6 weeks, the teams are going to look at you and find ways to hold you back. How have you dealt with what you've got to then do as Adelaide? Do you go and find another edge? Do you feel that, well, if there's going to be numbers behind the ball, that you have to find something else? I
think we just have to adapt to that. That's what we've probably found, and we've done that well in certain games. And I thought, last week at times we struggled to get the ball back off Carlton, but we were, the numbers back made it probably less efficient in terms of our scoring, and that's the nature of how opposition, some opposition are playing us now. So, that's just us adapting, and that takes some learning, that takes some education from us as coaches and the players experiencing it, and then actually understanding, well, if side does A, B and C, what do we need to do? And we've got that right a couple of times, and a couple of times we haven't. So, we think we're on the right path, though, in terms of adapting our style to what sides are now playing against us.
So what are your key thoughts when that comes against Adelaide?
in terms of
how you deal with it, what do you think is the art to dealing with the clogging of space?
Well, I think it's probably more. It's almost encapsulated in how we want to play. It's just probably the different way we have to play, and recognising that a side is playing that way, and then how we adjust. And that's really what the education for our guys has been about, is recognising that there is numbers behind the ball. Can we go as fast and maybe get the ball through? Possibly not. We have to move the ball in a different way, and that's situational. That's them recognising it, us messaging it, and then obviously there's a capacity to execute it, which becomes important as well.
So you see different paces to play the game?
Yeah, there's different paces, there's different methods. There's, you can go more straight back at them, or you maybe have to go around them. There's different ways to do it, and every situation's quite different, which is why it's hard to be prescriptive, because it can change and flip really quickly. Opposition tactically change as well, so we've got to be careful how we message it, because we can set the players down a path and they're going, well, hang on, that's not what's happening, or something else is occurring. So it's a moving feast.
On that point, we often hear about coaches that they get the greatest view because they're elevated and the players get all the cluttered view. Yeah. Who do you think's best at handling your on-field coaching in those circumstances?
Well, pretty much all of our leaders, in terms of, we've got from the back line, you've got Daniel Talia down there, and the midfield there's Sloaney, and forward there's Tex, and I talk to those guys regularly during the course of games to get a feel for what they're seeing and what they're feeling. I mean, they're your greatest resource on game day, because you might, as you say, sitting up top might be looking at the game and seeing something, but if they're not sensing it down there, or the numbers are telling you something but they're not feeling it, then it's important you message it accordingly. Otherwise, the players can get confused, and that's the last thing you want.
Can they also get confused when they have so many different views among themselves?
Although we've got pretty good in terms of our guys being on the same page, to be honest. I mean, we often, the reporting coming back up to the coaching box from our playing group is that they feel it, they sense it, which means that we can come up with a solution which they'll understand the reason why, and that's why the education, the training of it becomes important. But the reality is you get so much time in the week and there's so many things to cover, you've got to cover what you can cover and educate as best we can.
Curiosity on Adelaide Oval, you've now lost 2 games here.
Yeah.
Do you feel that opposition teams don't find it as imposing as they once may have? It's not as mysterious to them. What do you have to do to protect your record at home?
I think our record at home is important. I mean, winning at home as an interstate team is important, and those 2 losses we had here are disappointing. And certainly we want to be creating a real cauldron which makes it difficult for opposing teams to come and play well. So I encourage all of our members. I think the game's a sellout or near on, to come along Friday night. It's going to be a great game of footy, and get behind the team, because we want to build that imposing record, and we've let ourselves down on a couple of occasions this year.
Is it the case of opposition teams, I suppose, figuring out the dimensions of the ground, or knowing how to sort of hold space with a narrow compared to the MCG?
Not really. I mean, we went and played the MCG last week and were able to adapt to that. I haven't seen that necessarily. I think the 2 games we've dropped here, we've played, nothing against Melbourne and Hawthorn, but I think we've contributed to our own downfall a little bit.
Actually, John, you said in the past you've got a record saying that the Crows don't do too much tagging, but do you rethink it given how effective it's been on someone like Jason Johansson in the last few weeks?
Yeah, well, certainly we look at it and think, well, there's an opportunity to take out one of their main rebounding defenders, and the Bulldogs like to rebound out of the back half pretty quickly, whether it be through Johansson or Murphy. Biggs is there as well, and obviously sides have had success doing that. So that's something we've had a discussion about, yeah.
Well, guys, thank you.
On board. So,
Last one, Steve.
Thanks, more reports out of Melbourne about Jake Leader. Is that hastening the club's negotiations and then ongoing? The clubs are making bids for him?
No, look, we're in conversations with Jake, and we continue to do that, and those contract things will fulfil in the due course of time. That's beyond our control as to who else might be interested in Jake at the moment. As I keep saying, we've talked to Jake. Jake wants to be at the footy club. We want Jake to be at the footy club. We'll negotiate the appropriate deal and hopefully get that done soon.